what he called it.
I saw a picture of him sitting on the set with Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Sinatra. I don't know. I don't know if Sinatra mentioned that in his memoirs at all.
Probably not.
Yeah.
There's an awesome picture of Lefty that's like the quintessential like mob picture. I'm gonna do the impression right now. I'll see if we can't like link to it or something on the website.
Is it the duck face?
It's the one where he's just like...
Yeah, he's doing kind of a duck face
like
frown.
Yeah.
And that was when he was in one of those commission meetings and was not being a very nice gentleman.
So, finally, the Gaming Commission got rid of Lefty. I actually think it was the mob that got rid of Lefty. I don't remember who got rid of Lefty. Lefty left.
Lefty left.
Did Lefty disappear?
No.
Oh.
His car was exploded.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
His car blew up with him in it.
Apparently, it was a big enough Cadillac that he didn't get killed. Though.
There was a reinforced steel plate under his feet that saved him. He had like minor cuts and bruises.
Yeah.
I gotta wonder if he had that put into that car.
A little, yeah. You wonder, don't you?
No, you would think, yeah.
Because that's not standard in that vehicle. And a half-inch thick steel plate underneath your vehicle, sir.
Yeah, I mean, if I were in that business, I would probably have like an armored, like bulletproof glass and armory in the doors and everything like that. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
So after Lefty Rosenthal left, sorry everyone, the Gaming Commission, I guess, somehow was instrumental in installing the next two owners. They facilitated the deal of these owners buying the Stardust. And in the mid-'80s, it turned out, these guys had been skimming too.
All right.
They were fined what at that time was a record-setting amount, $3.5 million each. That was the most that any individuals had been fined for.
Yeah, the Gaming Commission basically hated the Stardust at this point.
Sounds like.
They did. And then somehow, magically, in 1985, the Stardust was declared mob-free, and that's that. There's no explanation on, like, how that happened, or, like, they put some bad guys in those seats once.
They probably co-opted the Gaming Commission.
Still kind of skimming off the top.
Well, but think about the mob was big in the 50s, 60s, and began to wane in the 70s.
Mostly because the government went after them.
And the government was going after them everywhere, so it's much harder for them to just freely operate and do what they want. And they've got to move more and more behind the scenes, which means it's much harder for them to do their business. And something that is that regulated, gambling, with the board and everything, I can't see it where they could just sneakily put somebody in anymore. Well, I think it's just generally, they weaned down the population of mobsters in high positions, and they were just stealing trucks, and that was it.
And so now,
I know they were doing more.
They got rid of the mob, and now, of course, we don't have any such thing as organized crime in this country anymore.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Or,
we've got corporations.
Or, criminals in positions of power, or people who let greed take over their sense of...
No, I think that I think actually it may in the end have been a mistake to get rid of the mob, because these guys at least played by a set of rules.
That's true.
Whereas a lot of their successors in organized crime in America.
They had some serious rules, and I gotta admit, there were some things that I liked about the mob days when you read about them, like, the mob guys see some dude beating up his wife, and suddenly the mob shows up at his house. And he's got 2 broken legs, and he never hits his kid again, kind of thing. Like there was some old school rules that they played by that were good things. They did a lot of bad things.
Oh yeah, but for example, if you whacked a guy, you didn't kill his family, and you did make sure not to do it in front of his family, and they had all kinds of rules like that.
Yeah, which they did bad things. But there's a silver lining to some of it.
Yeah, we're so off track right now.
I know, we are totally off track.
Wait, this isn't a show about the mob?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We'll talk a lot more about the mob in our Jimmy Hoffa episode.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk about Bill some more?
We probably should.
Yeah, probably.
All right.
I guess that whole tangent was a little bit to explain the history of the Stardust, to explain that people in power in the Stardust have not always been the most honest.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's Vegas. I mean, everybody knows about Vegas and its origins and all that stuff. And Like say, maybe the mob is still there, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're still there, that would tell you why he was never heard from again.
You know it's not there anymore?
What's that?
The
Stardust.
Stardust, yeah. I saw a picture of, you guys probably saw it too, on the webpage of the old original classic Stardust sign.
Oh, I love
In
that
a junkyard,
sign.
in a junkyard, yeah.
Thing
I
was
wonder-
so cool.
I wonder if they went to the Smithsonian Institution or something like that. You know, the Smithsonian Institute should have gotten that.
Somebody should take
Hopefully somebody got a hold of it.
that. You know, maybe I'll put it in my backyard.
Yeah.
That will go over really well with my neighbors.
Oh, yeah.
I think it might be bigger than your backyard. You're gonna have to get airspace rights over your neighbor's yards.
Possibly.
Yeah.
When it comes to Bill,
Yeah.
there's really only two theories.
Yeah.
You know, there's sub-theories under it, right? But either he's alive or he's dead.
Yeah. Hey, quick question.
Yeah.
Of the cash and chips that he took, how much was cash and how much was chips?
Yeah, that's kind of a big thing is that nobody knows. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure they know, right? They would know. But it's not publicized how much.
'Cause
So
they
that's
don't- they
actually
don't
one of my
admit
big
that.
problems with some of these theories is that we don't know how much of it was money and how much of it was chips.
I gotta be honest, if he was smart and he intended to get out of town, I wouldn't take a single chip.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. You know, you can, if you plan this ahead, you say, hey, I'm going to steal a bunch of chips. Will you pay them for me, you know, at a reduced rate? And
Black
then-
market.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Well,
you can go, you set that deal up prior,
Yeah.
you do it quick, and then you...
That's kind of what I was thinking. Is with one of his gambling friends, he could have said, "Look, if I got you a pile of chips, and I'm in a huge pile of chips, how much would you give me? Like, would you give me 70 cents on the dollar? You know, something like that. Some reduced rate, and then just make a bulk sale.
Yeah,
And then-
absolutely.
because obviously he can't go back and gamble
Right.
those chips, so he's got to. He had
Or
to have
cash
had
them in.
somebody.
You don't even have to gamble them. You can just walk up and cash them out.
Mhm.
Well,
that's a
and-
good point.
And as soon as it was known, the casino put out to all the other casinos, hey, we had a whole bunch of chips stolen, so be watching out for random people walking in with huge stacks of our chips suddenly
Yeah.
to be cashing in.
Do other casinos honor the chips from the other casinos?
I don't, you know, to be
wouldn't
honest,
think that they
I've
would.
never gambled with chips in Vegas. I've always played slot machines because I'm a weenie.
Yeah.
And so I don't really know.
I wouldn't think that they would.
But I remember seeing stuff in the reading about them alerting other casinos to large denominations of their chips coming in. So I've got to imagine that there's a bit of a barter there. Now, maybe they don't give them 100% face value, or maybe they do.
Maybe they charge a fee. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But it seems like they'd have to have some kind of exchange when people are walking from casino to casino and getting paid in chips. But regardless,
question.
I mean,
Yeah.
selling them in bulk on the black market would be the smart way to just
Right.
offload them fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's say he's alive.
Okay.
Just
Let's.
for now, shall we? This obviously means he's not in America anymore. Because he's on the FBI's most wanted fugitive list and also has appeared numerous times on America's Most Wanted.
Well, you could have grown a beard and moved up into the hills and become a Unabomber type, living in a little shack.
That's true, but I also do want to think a little bit about $500,000. You know, $500,000. It's not such a high amount that you could totally live for the rest of your life on it.
No.
Suffice to say, you know, you can do the math, and actually a lot of people on the internet do this math, where they say it's been 22 years since this happened. $500,000 divided by 22 years equals about 22
To 23.
to
Somewhere in there.
$23,000 a
Okay.
year, which is not enough to live on, as it turns out, in America.
Well, you could
Really?
live on that, but you'd be scraping by.
Yeah, and that means that it would only be 22 years that you're living. You know, that number gets smaller and smaller the longer you live off of it.
In the beginning, that's probably decent money to living. So I admit he probably ran out of cash if he's in this country.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know why you would stay here, first of all.
There's a lot cheaper places to live.
Way cheaper places to live.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably not living in Europe because somehow that's even less money. But I just want to think about like the Pacific Rim areas, lots of parts of Asia, South and Central America. I mean, I have friends, you guys know my friends that do this, where they go and they work up in the fish farms in Alaska and make $30,000 in the summer, and then they just literally travel around and live on it for a whole year because you go cheap places to live, and that's so sufficient that it's crazy. I mean, so if you're gonna go maybe like to the Philippines with $500,000, you're gonna live like a king.
Yeah, you can do pretty well. Or another place, if our listeners are looking for a cheap place to go, Bolivia. Bolivia is really cheap. I mean,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah. Very
So
affordable.
for me, it's not a problem to say that it's not enough money to live on. I think it's not enough to live in America, but there are a lot of places you could go where it'd be enough. It also explains, unlike most of the other theories, that his cat was gone, right? I mean, like if he got murdered, his cat would still be at his apartment.
Well, not
They
necessarily.
No.
If you're a detail-oriented murderer, then you're gonna go to his place and pack a bag and take the cat, and hopefully you're not gonna kill the cat. Hopefully you're gonna find him a new home, but probably.
Yeah.
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 Because that's what murderers typically
That's
do.
usually
is
what people who
they'll
kill
off
human
somebody
beings.
and save their cat
I
and take it to
know.
the Humane Society.
Puts up like a Craigslist ad. My owner got whacked. I need a new home.
Signed, Mr. Snuggles.
Yeah.
Sign Mr. Snuggles.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think, it would have been pretty easy for him to have just drugged his cat up, stuck it in a carrier, hopped on a plane, and just moved. But, again, there's the problem of we don't know how much money versus chips.
Yeah, let's say it was half and half, and of course, let's say you had to cut a deal with somebody, and then let's say knock it down to like 7 cents on the dime. Do you think? So
Yeah.
So that's how much. Let's say.
Rough figure, $350,000.
No, it's it'd be about so it'd come out to about $425,000.
Creeps me out that you can do that math in your head.
If he's getting 7 cents, yeah, I'd add.
Let's say he's dead.
I'm kind of guessing that's a big probability.
I think there are two kind of sub-theories here. One is the accomplice theory, one is the mob theory, and then I guess there's like a third sub-theory that we'll talk about after we're done talking about the accomplice and the mob.
Okay.
I mean, he clearly had an accomplice, right? Either he walked out of a casino with a backpack or a duffel bag full of money and chips. He would have had to had somebody let him through security. He would have had somebody, at the very least, buy those chips off of him.
Probably.
He's not back in here laundering the chips, right? I mean, somebody else has the chips at this point. I mean, not at this current moment. The casino may
After
have
the robbery, I got you.
Yeah. So it's not as though he just had nobody helping him.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah?
No. Okay. When the casino gets robbed, they rarely tell exactly how it was done and what was done, right? They're a little sketchy on the details because they don't want any other yahoos figuring it out. Okay, so maybe he does have some shady guy who he knows he can take $100,000 worth of chips to and sell, and the rest is in cash. And then he just skips. But I personally think this guy would have to be smart enough to know that chips are not the way to go. I would imagine that you would want to take the majority of what you steal in cash so you can just bounce with it.
That's
And
what you would
he
think.
could have, if he's hanging out with a debtor and this guy is getting him to gamble and do bad things, he might have owed money to other people, and he might have just walked by and said, "Hey, so I know I owe you $100,000. Here's chips from the Stardust. I'm out. Bye," and takes off, and then skips like we've talked about. But he's got the other $400,000 in cash.
Yeah, we don't know how much he took. He might have just taken. He might have taken just a couple of hundred chips. He might have taken just enough for his home poker set.
Yeah,
It's,
That's true.
it's very true.
Yeah.
That's definitely true,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just a souvenir kind of thing,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fair. I guess I would qualify somebody buying chips as some sort of accomplice,
Oh yeah.
and that person may be thinking, "Oh, you have this many chips? Well, where'd you get them?" And if he's a smart guy, he says, "I accidentally walked out with them or something," right?
He makes up a story and doesn't tell exactly what he did.
But he may not be a smart guy. He may be like, "Oh, I just ripped the Stardust off. I walked out of there with like $500,000. At which point somebody says, "Oh, really? Well, I'll take that."
Yeah, you'd think he would have kept his mouth shut about the cash.
You would think that, yeah.
Yeah.
But if he did have an accomplice, which again I think he does, Steve apparently thinks he doesn't, and Joe.
I think it's a good possibility.
Then
And it wasn't necessarily an accomplice who helped commit the crime, but just somebody he arranged with ahead of time to deliver a bunch of ships to.
yeah, I think it's a good possibility that that person would have decided maybe all of the $500,000 sounded better than just the 350, 250
Right.
thousand.
All is better than half.
All is better than half. All is better than halvesies. Then there's the mob.
Yeah, they were angry, so they tracked him down.
Well, if they are still involved in the Stardust, they don't have a good history of not reacting
The
rashly.
people who steal.
Yeah.
turning the other cheek and all that stuff.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not so much into that, it turns out. So either the mob or just not great people who run the Stardust. I mean, we talked a little bit about the Ocean's 11 connection, but since this is a story kind of ripped from a movie, Steve.
Well, okay. All right. So I've been reading this, and I really like the story, but I'm not a super fan of the two main theories, so I've just kind of been spitballing, as I like to do, because I like to spit.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and I've got two ideas.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the first off, let's step back and remember that nobody saw him leave.
Yeah,
On
this
the
is. I mean, it
Level
just
out, I
could
know.
be that he.
Bingo!
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not murdered, but like he may have
Or
just never
drugged.
made it out of the casino.
Yeah, he may have been pinched in the casino, and they said, we don't know what happened to him and all this money, and now we've got to file this claim against insurance because we lost $500,000. Oops!
Yeah, and actually added to that, it would be pretty easy for them to, say, hey, homeless dude, here's a bunch of money. Launder it back into the company for a 10%.
Right.
Something like that,
Yeah.
right? So you make the insurance claim of $500,000, which, again, is a significant amount of money, almost closer to $1 million at this point in today's money. You launder it back in, you've made your claim, you kind of come out on top.
And you've eliminated a problem child.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem with that I have with that theory is, and that's not a bad one, but if I were planning on doing something like that, I would have probably given the guy more responsibility and access to more cash, and then you whack him, and then you disappear $2-3 million.
Oh,
You know,
Well, this is
that's
they
how I
didn't
would've
realize he was going to do it, and they caught
done it. Oh,
him
you're
in
saying
the
they
act.
caught him in the act?
They catch him in the act,
Yeah.
and somebody acts rashly. Let's say he freaks out and a gun goes off, as it does in the movies, and he slumps down dead in the hallway, in one of the back hallways, and we got to get rid of this body. Well, conveniently, there's a desert out there.
Yeah, we'll bury him.
And
Lots of
how are we
holes in
explain
the
this guy
desert.
suddenly gone that works for us?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of wonder about that aspect, which we don't really see in any of the reading.
well,
Everybody
that was
says he got away with it.
That was my third thing.
Oh, was it?
Say-
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It's
But
fine.
I do have another idea.
Yeah.
So this one is even farther off the rails. Okay, I know I do, and I know Joe has a cat, and you're not a cat person.
I am not a cat person.
Okay.
Sorry,
Well,
Reddit.
anybody that has a cat knows that your cat is out to kill you. So what if it was Mr. Snuggles?
Mr. Snuggles
That
with the
could be it.
candlestick.
Yeah.
Mr. Snuggles plotted the whole thing and then killed him
What
and
if-
went to Venezuela to eat sardines for the rest
What
of
if
his life.
Mr. Snuggles wasn't actually a cat? What if he was...
The chupacabra? yeah.
A pet chupacabra?
Yeah. it could be.
Jacques?
Jacques chupacabra. Yeah. Why not?
I'm really, if we're gonna be just accusing random things, may as well accuse the chupacabra.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you had to say an accomplice in the casino, then of course it could be that they plotted it out together, and then his accomplice just cacked him with a lead pipe and
Right.
stuffed him in a laundry cart, and took the body out that way.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah, so-
and that's the other thing is that's how I explain why the cat is gone from the apartment. If he did have an accomplice that knocked him off once he left, is he says, hey, I'm going to skip town. I'll meet you and give you your cut. So he's got his cat in the cat carrier.
Uh-huh.
He meets him at some abandoned lot. The guy whacks him in the head with a lead pipe and kills him, opens up the cat carrier, and then sets the car on fire. And Mr. Snuggles runs free to live with the, other feral cats in the neighborhood. And the car is destroyed. Or they run it out into the desert or something. I mean,
Yeah.
that would explain why the one thing that is this guy's anchor, the PUD, is gone.
Yeah,
Do you know? Did they search the Humane Society to see if any cats turned up?
no idea.
Don't know.
I'm kind of guessing they didn't. But,
I'm guessing they probably
Yeah,
didn't.
it's my guess too.
Yeah.
So those are the theories, and I guess unless you guys have anything else,
If you're Bill Brennan, please call
would you please
or send us
Yeah.
an email.
seriously send us
We
an
won't.
email?
We won't tell the FBI.
Yeah, no, they're
Or the mob.
They probably are monitoring this podcast. So
Well,
yeah,
obviously they
yeah.
are. We solve a lot of their mysteries for them.
Oh,
so.
hell yeah.
Yeah. With that, it's a nice little short episode for y'all.
Sorta.
Yeah, on the back of like 4 or 5 super
Monster.
monster
They're long
episodes.
ones, yeah.
If you would like to read some of the links that we have been referencing tonight, they are, as always, on our website. That website is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. You may be listening to us there. You're probably listening to us on iTunes. If you're listening to us on iTunes, drop us a comment and a rating if you would. If you forgot to download us, you could be streaming us on Stitcher, which is not the only thing that we're on these days. I think we're also in the Zune library because apparently that's the thing still.
Oh, the Zune is still around?
Yeah, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, we're in the
And-
mic. I think getting into the Zune library puts us into the Microsoft library.
Yeah.
Evidently, you can find us on Windows 8 phones. They have a podcast app,
Gosh.
I guess.
Okay.
Wow.
So
We're on TuneIn as well.
we're
Don't
on
forget about
TuneIn
that.
as well. We're kind of all over the place these days.
Yeah.
We're also on Facebook.
Yeah.
If you would like to connect with us there, please feel free. You know, we've got the group and the page, so like us and friend us. There's going to be some interesting stuff coming along there pretty soon. Steve's making a face.
There is?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's it going to be? It's a surprise?
It's interesting. We can't tell.
Ah, okay.
It's a teaser, Joe. That's what a teaser is.
Yeah, I know.
Also, we're trying to make Twitter work for us. Everybody in this room is making a face. Sorry, everyone.
I'm reading a lot of Twitter help blogs.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I figured
because I've never
An
really
idiot's
used
guide
it.
to
and
Twitter. Yeah.
Trying to. I'm reading Twitter for Dummies.
Yeah, I am
Yeah.
not.
I figure some of those medieval terrorist types over in the Middle East can figure out Twitter, then we can too, right?
Probably that's true.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah, you would hope.
Also, email. It's the best way to get in contact with us. That email address is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. We have some listener mail, actually. We've
we
been
do?
putting off for so long. I'm so sorry.
Our mailbag is
everyone.
huge.
Yeah, actually, these days,
It's kind of overflowing.
it's a little overflowing. So why don't we read those emails?
Yeah.
Well, let's do.
This one is from Aubrey. She says, "Hey there. My name is Aubrey. I'm a college student, sophomore, studying psychology, and I've been obsessed with your show, listening between classes and putting off work to listen as well. I promise I will keep my grades up, though, especially since I am nearing being caught up and horrified at the idea of running out of my ability to binge listen."
Yeah, stay up with your studies, Aubrey. We don't want to be responsible
Yeah,
for you walking out.
I that was actually
Yeah.
one of the first things, or one of the big things that was in a reply was, keep your grades up.
Yeah.
She says, "I was trying to think of something for a podcast, and everything had either already been done or so famous that I'm sure that you would eventually do them or are tired of hearing them suggested. Bottom line, I had
A very disturbing but good idea.
Anyways, that's, she the suggestion, and she just says keep podcasting, and she's class of 2017, which is scary.
Yeah.
It's super scary. So thank you for the suggestion, Aubrey. I think that I will not be taking it, but somebody in this room probably will.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's a disturbing idea, or a disturbing story.
Yeah.
It's very
We do a lot of
different
those.
from us, but from
Well,
what we
we've
do
done
normally.
some
But
stuff kind of vaguely like it, so.
it deals with bodily functions.
Ooh, gross.
It's gross. It's gross. But we'll get to it at some point in the near future, I think. All right. Well, we've got another one here that I wanted to read for everybody, and this is from Lindley. Lindley says, "Hi guys, I adore your podcast. I look forward to listening to it every week. Thursday nights I work alone in the basement of a library processing books, and your podcast is the perfect mood setter. I don't know.
You're alone in the basement?
Uh-oh.
Listening to us talk
There's
about
no
the
way.
Yeah, I
I can't listen to our stuff when it's like dark out. Sometimes I leave like from recording and I'm like, it's too creepy out here.
No, actually, after dark, the only podcasts I listen to are The Muppets and Barney.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for providing me with hours of entertainment and getting me through these long hours in a dusty room stacked with books. Lindley then goes on to suggest a story, which I've got to admit I was really intrigued with. I hadn't ever heard of before. But, yeah, working in a dark basement at night on your own
Listening
with
to
us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That reminds me, I've been doing a lot of research on the library basement murders, and and we're probably going to be. And that just reminded me of that. I sort of let that slip, and so yeah, we'll be covering that soon.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah. And, you know, that actually makes me think is, I don't know that we share with our listeners or our listeners share with each other sometimes as the other shows that they listen to. For folks that are in that situation where it's like, that's a creepy spot, you should listen to this instead. And I know I listen to a bunch of shows. I know, Devin, you listen to a couple.
Absolutely.
And Joe listens to one or two. So, I mean, you know, I don't know if it's worth it at some point for us to share that with our listeners and have our listeners share what they listen to. I think that might be fun for us to do sometime.
For sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, then, you know, and just another thing I wanted to say, you know, we really appreciate the positive messages that we get. And I would say that 99% of our emails are positive like that. But also, don't be afraid if you think that we've left something important out of a mystery. Don't be afraid to chime in and let us know about that.
Oh, yeah, we've missed the mark on a point or two. And
if we've left
heard
something
about
out
it,
or gotten something wrong, please let us know. I mean, and, you know, it's nice that you say good stuff to us, but, you know, feel free to criticize us, too.
Joe needs to start going on Reddit because...
Yeah, I know that on Reddit we do get a little bit of flack. Yeah.
There needs to be
there's some verbal tics.
There.
Yeah.
Some of us have habits.
Yes.
They're habits that we're trying to get rid of.
Yeah.
But we're really, really working on it.
I didn't know.
Thank you.
Man,
and with that...
You jerk.
And with that...
I think we're going to call this one solved, obviously.
Mr. Snuggles.
Yeah, Mr. Snuggles.
I go,
AKA
I'm voting
Chupacabra.
I'm voting for Mr. Snuggles.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Yeah, well, another hard-hitting mystery will be solved.
Sweet.
Thinking Sideways.
I don't understand.
Does not compute.
You never know.
Insufficient data to formulate a reply.
What?
Stories of things we simply don't know the answer to.
Space. The final frontier.
Yeah.
With Thinking Sideways, the podcast.
Okay.
Wow! Best intro ever!
Yeah.
Well, for anybody who's confused right now, I am Steve. As always, I am joined by my co-host.
The orchestra over here.
Joe.
And Devin.
And as we did in our lovely musical intro, we are the hosts of Thinking Sideways. This is getting all out of control really fast.
Yeah. No structure. We need structure.
We do.
But we're gonna. But just so if you don't know, we solve mysteries.
We tend to try to solve mysteries. We do.
Joe lies about us solving mysteries.
He does occasionally. Well, we have another mystery this week that we're going to talk about, which is the Black Knight satellite. Suggested to us a long time ago. And I really apologize to whoever was the first person to suggest it to us, because I sort of lost your email and didn't write it down, and I don't have your name.
Bad Steve.
Yeah,
very bad, Steve.
Benjamin suggested it a couple of months ago. I have that written down, so he gets the prize, but to whoever the other person was, thank you.
Maybe
Sorry.
Maybe it was Benjamin.
I know this one's been in the hopper for a long time.
Yeah, we're trying to get better about writing that stuff down.
Yeah, we've been doing pretty good, but in the beginning we were pretty sloppy.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the Black Knight Satellite.
Okay.
I'm just going to preface this right now, this is one of those stories that has been told and rehashed